on the NewsChannel 5 network. This is Titans Talk.
Hey there, and welcome into Titans Talk. Steve Lehman with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on NewsChannel 5. Plus, lots of Titans stuff to talk about tonight. And we welcome your phone calls as always, 737-7767 to get into the program. Titans beat the Jaguars Thursday night, 36-22, improved to 4-4 on the season. Then they get essentially the mini bye week over the weekend, which, in my opinion, could not have come at a better time when you look at their schedule. Midway point of the season, and for the Titans in particular, who have one of the later bye weeks of the year, all the way out in week 13, this is an opportunity to refresh a little bit after the grind of training camp and the start of the season. So I think it came at a great time for the Titans, and now in front of them is a real opportunity this week, I think. They play in San Diego, a place that the Titans-Oilers franchise has lost 6 consecutive games dating back to 1990. Warren Moon was the quarterback the last time this franchise won a game in San Diego. For whatever reason, they haven't played well out there. This is a Chargers team that is better than its 3-5 record. They've been in every game. They've just struggled in the fourth quarter. But sometimes those things can be a persistent issue. And so if you think this is a good Titans team ready to take the next step, this is a giant opportunity. This is a chance to go on the road and make that statement and get above 500 before you get the Packers at home and then 2 more road games at the end of the month. To me, a big, big opportunity. And now the Titans are confident. They've won 3 of 4. And they should be rested and ready to go after having this weekend off. So that is a great, great sign. Curious on your thoughts. Were you at the game on Thursday night? How do you think the atmosphere compared? It was not as good probably as the Colts game on Sunday, in my opinion, in terms of the crowd. But at times the volume was really good. And Titans players even said as much afterwards. They feel like the last 3 games, probably starting with the Browns game, Colts, and this game against the Jaguars, they feel like the home field advantage has started to creep back in to Nissan Stadium. It's not the heyday, certainly not the Super Bowl run or the few years after that, but they start to feel like it's making a bit of a difference. Obviously, they won 2 of those 3 games after winning 3 of the previous 19, or 2 of the previous 19. So, big opportunity. Titans largely took advantage. They would love to have that Indianapolis game back, but a dominating performance against Jacksonville the other night. My other question for you is if you can go back in the memory bank, when was the last time you watched the Titans dominate a football game in the manner that they dominated Jacksonville on Thursday night? I mean, a couple possessions into that game, it was over. The Titans with 5 stops and 5 Jacksonville possessions in the first half. And offensively, they scored on 6 of 7 possessions after punting on the opening drive of the game. That was about as good of a performance as we have seen from the Titans in a long, long time. I mean, I've covered the team up close and personal for 6 seasons now. And if I go back into the list of games and victories, I can certainly count it on one hand, but the only 2 just sort of beat down games that really stand out to me in that time were in 2011. They went and beat what at the time was a really bad Carolina team in Charlotte, 30-3. And then in 2013, Mike Munchak's final year, they went to Miami and beat the Dolphins 37-3. But in both of those games, as I remember back on it, there were mistakes from the other team that helped. You know, Cam Newton threw a couple interceptions in Carolina. They also gave up a punt return for a touchdown to Mark Mariani in Miami. They threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which the Titans returned for touchdowns in that game. That's how those games got out of hand. It was turnovers and mistakes that really kind of piled up and snowballed on the other team. This was an example. The Jaguars weren't turning the ball over or necessarily having anything catastrophic happen. This was just play in and play out. The Titans were that much better than the Jaguars on both sides of the ball on Thursday night. And the final score of 36-22 doesn't do it justice at all, because the Titans were just that much better than what the Jags were. 354 yards in the first half was an NFL season high for a half. And the Jaguars are at 60. Titans nearly outgained the Jags by 3 football fields in the first half while building that 27-0 lead. It was just a dominant performance by a team that's trying to take the step. And what we've seen now from the Titans, and we've talked about this a little bit the last few weeks, the Titans are proving that they've taken a step forward, and they're doing it by taking care of business against the bad teams. If you look the last few years at the Titans and their track record, they've been a bad team. They've been the team that other teams get well against. And when they've matched up in those types of games, they've oftentimes lost because they were the bad team. Well, this year, in those matchups, the Titans are getting it done. And they got it done in a big way on Thursday. Now the question for the Titans is, can you beat the good teams? Even Indianapolis. That was a frustrating loss because that's a team you've had trouble with. That's a franchise that's had a history of success that you're going to have to get by to win this division or get to the playoffs. It's going to happen. And a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to happen a week ago Sunday. The question for the Titans is, are they ready to take that next step? Can they go to San Diego and win? Can they beat a Green Bay or a Denver here? Can they finally beat Indianapolis or get over the hump against Houston, who they've lost 5 in a row to now? Those are the questions to be answered in the second half of the season. The great news here is there are questions in the second half of the season, and they're not revolving around where are the Titans going to pick in the draft in the spring. That is a welcome sign. The Titans haven't been relevant at this point of the year for a long time. 4-4 for the first time in 5 years. 500 at the midway point of the year for the first time since 2011. That is a huge step in the right direction. Now, is this team ready to get to the playoffs or compete in the AFC South this year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out in the second half of the year, but at least they're in the discussion now. That's a real positive. 737-7767 is the number tonight. What were your thoughts about the game? What were your thoughts about the atmosphere? When was the last time the Titans entertained you in that way? Won a game that big, that badly? And what are your predictions now for the second half? Okay, so they're 4-4. Meaningful football is ahead. What do you think the schedule lays out for them? Can the Titans make a push at a playoff picture? We want to hear, or a playoff spot, and be involved heavily in the playoff picture. We want to hear from you tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Jonathan Hutton joined us last night on the Electric Power Company's Sunday Sports Central. We'll get to keys to the first half of the season, first half MVPs, go back, revisit some of Thursday night's game as well. Lots to get to. We'll talk about Marcus Mariota's first half of the season. One big piece of news today, though, which should not be overlooked, Andre Johnson retiring today after 14 seasons in the NFL. Just 3 months here in Nashville, but he made an impact. Future Hall of Famer. He retires 9th on the all-time list in receptions, 10th on the all-time list in receiving yards. He leaves a lot of wisdom behind in this locker room of looking at guys, and young guys in particular, and saying, this is how I did it. This is how I had my success. These are the types of film practices you have to have, the types of notes you need to take. This is how to run this route or that route. It's the way you prepare. It's about being a professional on and off the field. Mike Mularkey called him one of the best pros he's been around in all his years of coaching or being in the National Football League. High praise for Andre Johnson. He's going to be a surefire Hall of Famer when he goes on the ballot. Best offensive player in Texans history, without question. Retires today here in Tennessee. Only played half a season, but as Mike Mularkey said, it just the heart wasn't there, the mind wasn't there for it, and it's a really difficult profession to keep showing up and taking the beating and working out as hard as you have to and studying as hard as you have to if your heart's not in it. And for Andre Johnson, it just wasn't at the end, so he called it quits today. Diminishing role, but a big role. He's caught a couple touchdown passes this year in wins, including that game winner in Detroit on 4th down at the end of that game in week 2. You talk about the Titans being 4-4 right now. The first quarter of the season, they were still figuring things out and learning about themselves. And that was a game that very easily could have slipped away. And who knows where the season goes if the Titans are 0-4. And Dre Johnson goes and makes an incredible catch in the end zone against the Lions that day. An incredible catch. And the Titans win the game because of his catch. So even his final season, he made an impact. He made an impact for the Titans. A couple guys said they're going to remember that catch forever. A couple other guys said they're going to play for Dre the rest of the year. He's still a part of the team, even though he retired today. So it's not as if he's quitting. You get the sense that a lot of those guys respect his career, what he did, the effort he brought, what he meant to a lot of these guys. And they're going to go try and win for him now, including him in this mission of theirs. So very interesting stuff today. But Dre Johnson retiring, 14 seasons in the NFL, 9th all-time in catches, 10th all-time in receiving yards, and leaving behind hopefully several nuggets of advice for a relatively young receiving core that he's leaving behind here in Tennessee. Your thoughts on Andre Johnson's retirement, what it means for the Titans who might have to step up as well. 737-7767 is the number. And we begin tonight here on Titans Talk with John. John, hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I want to say one thing. Mario was on target. Oh, my God. I sat and watched that game. It blew my mind how he was throwing that ball. And we got I think we got the best wide receivers. When they're on their game, they're hard to beat.
Well, I don't know if we have the best wide receivers, but when Marcus Mariota puts the ball in the spots he put the ball the other night, it makes their job a lot easier. And what you saw is you've got some capable guys, that's for sure. Kendall Wright is back healthy. He looks like a guy who can be a big weapon for this team. Rashard Matthews, I think, has figured out this offense now after coming in from Miami. And this second quarter of the season when the Titans went 3-1, Rashard Matthews has been a big factor in the passing game. And Delanie Walker obviously is a Pro Bowler. So I think you have 3 receivers, including Walker, tight end, that are reliable guys that you know what you're going to get from them and that they can make plays for you. And then you throw in the rookie Tajay Sharp, who, while maybe a little up and down the last few weeks of the season, he's shown potential, and he's just a rookie. So the sky's really the limit there.
100%. I do.
Yep. Well, we appreciate the call, John. Thank you very much. Again, phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number. We need to take our first break. Back with some highlights from that game against the Jaguars. Much, much more. You're watching Titans Talk here on News Channel 5+.